Today, I want to talk about a fascinating topic that has captured my imagination recently, the tale of a legendary being called Lanky Chunk. Now, for those of you who may not know, Lanky Chunk is the lone survivor of his tribe. He was determined to uncover the secrets of his people. So he set out on a quest, a journey of self-discovery. He began his journey by wandering the forest region of Migtau on the planet of Zhongdu, which was part of the distant Galrop system. It was believed that this dense forested area was where his people originated from. He knew that there were others like him out there, somewhere in the vast expanse of the forest, but he had never been able to find them. He had searched high and low, scouring every inch of the forest for any sign of his long-lost tribe, but so far his efforts had been in vain. Lanky Chunk's struggles were many. He had no tools or weapons to speak of, and he had to rely on his natural abilities to survive. He climbed trees to gather food such as fruit and tubes of go-gurt, and drank from streams and rivers to quench his thirst. It was a hard life, but Lanky Chunk was determined to keep going, driven by the hope that someday he would find his tribe and be reunited with his people. And so, Lanky Chunk set out on another day of searching, with nothing but his own 2 feet to carry him forward. He knew that the journey ahead would be long and difficult, but he was determined to keep going, driven by the hope that he would someday find his long-lost tribe and finally know the true meaning of belonging. You see, Lanky Chunk's planet is one where survival is a constant challenge. The creatures that live there have to contend with harsh environmental conditions, vicious predators, and scarce resources. Lanky Chunk had heard rumors of a hidden grove deep in the forest where rare and valuable zorbs grew in abundance. Zorbs were small, round, glowing cylinders that contained life source bits which could be used to sustain life. The origin of the Zorbs is shrouded in mystery, and even the inhabitants of Lanky Chunk's planet are unsure of their true source. Legend has it that the Zorbs are fragments of a long-lost star that once shone brightly in the sky, but fell to the planet during a great cataclysmic event. Lanky Chunk thought that collecting Zorbs from the hidden grove might reveal clues which would help him unlock the mystery of his long-lost tribe. It was his purpose in life to find as many Zorbs as he could throughout the Migtau region, specifically the hidden grove. However, reaching this grove would be no easy task. The trees in this part of the forest were dense and tangled, their branches twisting and interlocking like a maze. Lanky knew that he would need to use all of his climbing skills and resources to navigate this tricky terrain. After making it to the grove, he knew that his natural abilities alone were not enough to climb into the highest trees, so he crafted some specialized tools to aid him in his task. Lanky Chunk's tools were grappling hooks that he used for scaling steep cliffs and navigating treacherous terrain. When he wasn't using the hooks, he could slot them into 2 of his bum-bum holes for storage so he could free up his hands for other tasks. As he climbed higher into the canopy, Lanky spotted a faint glow coming from one of the nearby trees. After a few moments of searching, Lanky's sharp eyes finally caught a glimmer of light nestled among the leaves. With a quick swipe of his hand, Lanky grabbed the Zorb and stashed it in a storage compartment he had on his back. Lanky Chunk's species has spikes jutting out of his back as a defense mechanism, which can fend off predators who would otherwise try to snatch the Zorbs from him. But before he walked up to the grove, Lanky Chunk noticed a short creature with blue skin and green arms who was stationed at a clearing before the grove. Lanky could sense that he was not an enemy, but perhaps a possible ally in his endeavor to collect the Zorbs. This humanoid creature's name was Shane, and he too was interested in collecting Zorbs. Shane spoke the language of Badu, and Lanky Chunk could communicate with him telepathically. Now, his motive to get the Zorbs was different than Lanky Chunk's desire to find clues about his tribe. At first, the two were wary of each other. After all, Shane had a reputation for treachery and violence, and Lanky Chunk was suspicious of anyone with such a history. But as they got to know each other, Lanky Chunk saw that Shane was genuinely remorseful for his past actions and was eager to make things right. He was the only person he could trust in his journey, so they formed an alliance. It was Shane's goal to convert the Zorbs into an economic currency called Alpha Chad coins. It is said that the Alpha Chad coins hold incredible power. You see, Shane was in a great amount of debt, as he needed to gather Alpha Chad coins so he could trade them for the necessary components to repair his damaged ship. After Shane stated his reasoning for his search for Zorbs to Lanky Chunk, they formed an alliance with each other so they could work together towards each of their goals. The deal was this: Lanky Chunk would use his ability to climb the trees and search for Zorbs in exchange for using Shane's spaceship to travel to his home planet of Glarp, which he could then find more information about his tribe's whereabouts. It was decided that Lanky and Shane would become partners and that Lanky will give all of his collected Zorbs to Shane. So Lanky Chunk headed into the Hidden Grove to gather as many Zorbs as he could. With his mission accomplished, Lanky Chunk made his way back out of the forest, with his storage compartment heavy with the weight of the precious Zorbs. As he swung from tree to tree, Lanky couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. The search for the Zorbs had been long and difficult, but it had been worth it. He couldn't wait to see the look on Shane's face when he saw the haul Lanky had brought back with him. Eventually, Lanky had gathered enough Zorbs for Shane so that he would have just enough Alpha Chad coins to repair his ship. Shane had purchased the necessary parts to refurbish the ship, and together they worked on fixing the spacecraft for an interplanetary flight. They were successful in the repair and were going to set course for their flight to the nearby planet of Glarp, where Lanky would eventually discover the origin of his long-lost tribe. I will continue telling the tale of Lanky Chunk in the next video, part 2, where Lanky Chunk learns about his tribe's origin, his own personal destiny, and how he unlocks new powers and abilities with the blue sword of Omega Wang.